for Behind the Biz Fireside Chat. Welcome if this is your first time here and you are new. For those who don't already know me, hello. My name is Lindsay Johnson, aka the Radical Connector. If you are new to my world, you're going to quickly realize I am a super nerd for all things entrepreneurship, business development, how we take ideas and turn that into making money, and then using that money to change our lives and change the lives of others. We're going to be getting into it today with Liz Wilcox, aka the Fresh Princess of Bel Air. I got a little gifty for us today to help us. Hang on. Oh gosh. Now you know I'm trying a new thing. Here we go. I thought it would be fun for me not just to read Liz's bio, but for you to read with me, everybody. So we're going to be talking with Liz. Y'all know if you're in my community, I talk about Liz and her email marketing membership all the time. You know that it is my go-to recommend for everybody. Just to give you some idea of who Liz is, she's an email strategist and keynote speaker, showing small businesses how to build online relationships and make real money with emails. She's known for selling a blog, turning a $9 offer into a multiple six-figure without ads, and helping you untangle the email knot with her simple framework and email staircase. She loves the 90s, headbands, and the beach. And if all of you know, I'm a big old Survivor nerd, and Liz was also on Survivor last season. So we may get into that, but most likely we're going to be focused today on the email marketing and specifically on that $9 membership, because y'all have been writing so many questions about, hang on, let me hide this, about not just how to do email marketing, but about this $9 offer, because I talked a lot about how Liz turned this $9 offer into a $1,000 a day membership. So without further ado, we're going to bring Liz on. We're going to get super nerdy. We're going to have time for questions at the end. So please go ahead and submit them in the chat right now, and we will save it for the end to get into. And as always, remember to subscribe to the channel while you're here. Liz, what's up?
Hey friends, I'm so excited. I love seeing people in the chats. What's up? What's up?
Right?
Let's do
We're already
this.
like people are already getting into it.
Yes, and I love that because y'all, I know it's early in the morning for most folks, electronic mail, maybe it's not the sexiest thing, but I love when people are excited. So let's go
Right?
for it.
Let's go. Okay. So, Liz, first question I love asking people when they first pop on is, what are you nerding out to these days? What's going on in your world?
I'm nerding out about Black Friday. I
Mhm,
know that's like the most entrepreneur thing to say, but y'all, Lindsay mentioned it. I was on the show Survivor this year,
mhm.
and I've kind of had my head buried in the sand. And now I'm getting back to work, and I feel so excited about Black Friday. And yeah, it's totally relevant to. We're going to talk about my membership and email today. I'm geeking out about all the things that I've put off this year that I haven't been able to do. And I'm like knee deep in updating the sales page and figuring out what upsells and downsells I want to have and updating that dang waitlist page Lindsay just put in the chat. And um, I can't wait to see it all come together because I feel
Yeah.
like I finally have energy for it. And for the
Yeah.
last 2 years, I've been geeking out about Survivor, and now I'm ready to like geek out about my business and my people again.
Yes. Well, and that's one of the things that so I'm going to back this up. I had a rant the other day, and folks, if you're on my email list, you know sometimes you get a little rant from me. And my rant was about those email lists where you can tell people want you to buy or get off the list. Right? They
Yeah.
don't perceive their list as a community, right? As that family, as people who are in it doing this thing together. And that is such a magic that you bring to your email list, to your community, right? You don't see people, at least not publicly. It doesn't appear that you see people as a dollar sign, buy or get off, right? People are in your community. So how, like, first of all, do you think that's accurate in the way that I described the way that you perceive your email list?
Yeah, I love my people so much. And sometimes it does frustrate me when I'm like, why aren't you in the membership yet? But I realize, people don't buy when I sell something, they buy when they are ready, right?
Yeah.
And so I just have to show up all the time to help them, to serve them, and hopefully get them ready to purchase one day or get them to, someone else who can help them better.
Yeah. And that's, I think for friends that are watching, I would love to hear your thoughts on that with the email list. Can you tell the difference between when you are just a number or when you're really part of a community, right? And even what is your approach to building your email list? Because let's talk about that for a second, because there is this idea of, well, if I don't see them as a dollar sign, I only see them as a community. Does that mean I can't sell? Right? And that is the two multi-pronged approach for Liz Wilcox, right? It is make them feel like family because they are part of the community and make money. So how do you get people in that frame of mind, making money and being part of the community?
Yeah, so to me, customers create community. It's not
Yeah.
the other way around, right? A lot of people think, oh, I got to build this community, I got to build this audience, and then I'll sell to them. But here's the thing, when you can sell something, because you're in this business not because you just want to make money. Of course, we all have stomachs, we all have are experiencing inflation, etc. But you create products to serve people, right? I know that you do. So if you can get somebody to put a little bit of money down, that's, putting a little skin in the game, so to speak. So with customers, they are number one, they are invested. People
Yeah.
that are invested create community naturally, right? Number two, they take action. Again, people that are taking action create community because they want to talk to each other, right?
Yeah.
And then the third thing, they share with others, right? I mean, Lindsay, they're in my membership, right? And here we are talking about it, right? And so, again, customers create community because number one, they're invested. Number
Yeah.
two, they take action. And number three, they share with friends. And that's what a real community is. We
Yeah.
invest in each other, we take action together, we share to grow the community.
Yes. So I know that we're getting into the super technical, and I love that. But also, the theme here is behind the biz, right? Like, how did you get into this? Because you did start off with doing blogging, and it was for was it RV living and like RV
Yeah.
repair? Like, tell us before you were the Fresh Princess of email marketing, what was your existence like?
Before I was the Fresh Princess of Email, I was the RV poop lady.
RV poop lady.
Yes, I sold a book, about, like, crappy RV stories, and people started calling me the RV poop lady. I got a lot of nicknames, y'all. I usually I go by Liz, though. So I started as an RV travel blogger.
Yeah.
But let me be clear that I wanted it to be a business. I didn't
Yeah.
start off like, oh my gosh, I just love this community so much. I mean, it was a great community, but I knew that I needed to sell in order to, make things happen for myself. So I started creating digital products. I started growing my list. Everyone and their mother, when I listen to or watch amazing shows like this one,
Yeah.
everybody said, email, email, email. I wish I would have taken that more seriously.
Yeah.
So, Mama didn't raise no fool. I started the email list the day that I launched my blog. I launched my first digital product about 7 months later. Finally did the big shebang bang digital course about 3 years in. And I realized, what they say is true. If you just connect with your audience, you sell to them, you can create this community. And it's this really beautiful thing. But I actually ended up selling that business for two reasons. Number one, I realized I'm really good at email marketing and I
Yeah.
wanted to help more people make money the way I was. And number two, I wasn't passionate about that community anymore. My
Yeah.
RV days were kind of winding down. Y'all, if you can't tell by the way I look or the sound of my voice, uh, I'm not like a man in my 60s, but my audience was. And so I was no
Yeah.
longer really, again, passionate about helping them get on the road full time.
Yeah.
And so I knew that it was time to move on from that community. And y'all, I sold that business. That community still lives on to this day. Sometimes I'm still tagged in their Facebook group. They have events, they have a forum on the blog. Like, I didn't just let that community die. Like as
Yeah.
the leader, that's not the right thing to do. I passed the baton, so to speak.
I love that. Well, and it's the community building element. Again, it's no surprise that comes through in your email marketing style and in the way you build the membership, because community building is a huge part. Well, if you want it to be, it's a huge part of how we show up in entrepreneurship, right? And in the things that we do. Like, even when I'm teaching folks, I have my 4 fast and free revenue generating activities. So those who are here in my world, you know what those are, right? We have networking, public speaking, community building, and content marketing. All of these things work together. And there can be sometimes a resistance to community building. And I think people have this perception that it's this really big thing that has to take a really long time. And, I really do think that you can build community without it taking over your life. So if you think about your approach to building community, Liz, how do you approach that?
Yeah. Well, y'all, first of all, I don't know anyone who has more free time than me. like, I only
Hashtag
really,
goal.
I mean, was that a humble brag? Not so humble brag. And I have a large community. I mean, at the time of this recording, I've got almost 15,000 people on my email list, almost 4,000 people in my membership, over 6,000 in my Facebook group. And y'all, my Facebook group is popping,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is popping over there. And I am only in there uh, actively, maybe once a week. Passively, I'll check it out on the app. I'll like stuff. I'll do a quick comment. But the community really runs itself. And
Mm-hmm.
so my approach is values and mission first, right? Like, what are the values that I have that I want this community to have?
Mm-hmm.
And some of mine are inclusivity, accessibility. Actually, my number 2 value is make mistakes. I know email is really hard. So we've got to be able to make mistakes and, possibly look kind of stupid and disappoint ourselves sometimes. That's in my values. That's something that I share in my emails. I share when I comment on Facebook, etc. And so, you know, as the cool kids would say, you got to get the vibe right first, and then you can start welcoming people. I also, I do a lot of podcast interviews and shows like this, but I say no to ones that are a mismatch. As the facilitator, the most time spent, or the best, spend on your time, I believe, is just curating the experience, making sure you're not just getting on any show or letting anyone in to speak. That's where I spend the majority of my time, making sure my values are aligned with whoever I'm bringing in or wherever I'm going out to, so that when people come in, it's not a lot of work for me because these are all people with the same values and with the same agenda.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's that alignment. And that's a really good, a really good perspective. I'm laughing at how aligned we view community building, like that it has to be the values first. It has to be, it all stems from what is the uniting cause, the uniting purpose, the uniting mission, right? And when we lead from that, the things like, well, should I go live in the community, or what should my email say, right? Or how often do I show up? That stuff, kind of, who should I bring as a guest speaker? That stuff works itself out when we start with what's the uniting cause or purpose, right? Or mission. What are the values? So this idea of now thinking of, okay, I've sold this company, I'm moving on. I want to talk about that for just a second, because there is this perception of starting a business and having to have that business until the day that you die, and if I sell it, if I decide I'm done and I close it, I'm somehow a failure. And I'm speaking specifically in service-based businesses, not, making an app and selling the app for millions of dollars, but I'm talking about in a service-based business. I think because we put so much of our heart and soul and sweat and blood and tears into building these things, when we feel complete, sometimes it's hard for us to be honest with ourselves that we're done with something and ready for more. And it's very scary to think, well, if I'm done with this, what else is there? So can you kind of walk us through that transitional journey that you went through?
Yeah, so for me, I don't know if I can relate to being scary more. It felt like more of an opportunity. If
Hmm.
I can do this over here with something that, I care about, but it doesn't light me up every single day, but if I can have this kind of success over here, what else is possible? So I think it's more about flipping the script of, yep, I've done my due diligence over here. Look at all the things I've learned. Look at all the bricks I've laid. Like, look at this beautiful, wall that I've built. What else is possible?
Mhm.
And that kind of, I don't know, positioning, perspective, reframe really helped me. Yeah, of course it's scary. It's like, oh gosh, what if this other thing fails? This over here is actually, after 3, 4 years is finally working. Now I have to start over. So that I can see as scary. But you're coming with so much more knowledge, so many more connections, so much more experience that it's so much simpler and, dare I say, easier to start over because you're not actually starting over the way you did with this first or second or third business. You're starting way higher each time.
Yeah. Well, and you said at the beginning as well that you knew I got to start email from day one because this is what I've heard is the thing that people regret. And I say this all the time. The number one regret I hear from entrepreneurs a few years into their business is they didn't take email marketing seriously. And to
Yep.
have a list of 15,000 people, friends, can you even imagine? Tell me in the comments, how would that feel? 15,000 people on your email list. So, what were some of your strategies like what, because you talked about like getting onto podcasts, getting into speaking, how did you, I guess my question is, how did you maintain focus on building your email list while doing everything else?
To be honest, I feel like I don't do anything else.
Okay, there you go.
I really am a very like efficient, streamlined person. And so even with the RV blog, and maybe this is how I got that way, y'all, I did not have a lot of time. I had to build that in the margins of life. I was married at the time. He thought I was being scammed. He was like, oh, I don't really know what's going on here. It just seems like you're spending money and not making any. I had a toddler at the time. You can imagine she doesn't really care about business, right? It's not really her thing at the time. Potty training was more her thing. And, I didn't, I, y'all, I lived in a campground. I didn't even have an internet. So I really had to, listen to shows like this and say, okay, what are they actually saying works? And so that's why I started that email list right off the bat. I started creating products as soon as, I had a few hundred people on the list. And I've built LizWilcox.com pretty much the same way. Before I even had my website, I set up a ConvertKit, now Kit account, and I started posting on social. Hey, want to know how I've been doing this RV thing? I'm going to drop everything I know over here, join the email list.
Mhm.
And like even today, I had 3 interviews scheduled to what? Grow my list, to promote my freebie and or my membership. It really is the number one thing that I focus on. So if you see me, oh, Liz is here, she's there. Really, what she's doing is growing her email list. Um, and I find that people there's like a perception about that. It's like, "Oh, Liz, you're doing all these things." And it's like, really, all I'm doing is growing my email list. And with list building, you know, the more visible you can become, the more you can grow your list. So I don't post on social media unless I'm trying to grow my email list. I don't do collaborations unless I know they're going to grow my email list. Um, et cetera. I don't even know what other people would be doing.
Well, I think that is it. I mean, this is, people are doing all these things without a purpose, without a strategy, right? Like when you have that singleness of focus, everything I do is to build the email list, right? Then I'm always sharing the opt-in. I'm always getting people on the email list. It is all that you do. And I think that the phrase you just said about I don't post on social unless it's about my email list, like, do you know how many people would breathe a sigh of relief around that? This is, I ask it every time. Friends, tell us in the comments, if you didn't have a business, would you be as active on social media as you are now? Right. And the answer is always no, no. Right. Do you,
Right.
yes, go.
I was gonna say, when I start y'all, I was not even on Facebook. I had never really even heard of Instagram. I didn't have Snapchat before I started my business. The
Mhm.
day I launched my blog was the day I got back on Facebook. And I was like, hey guys, I've got this blog. Check it out. And in the summertime, I don't work. I take 3 months off every summer. And guess what goes? The apps. I turn them off.
Yeah.
They're not even on my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I'm not at 3 months yet. I do December only. So
Love it.
y'all, right? I do December and August. And everybody, y'all know you're all like, oh, like, how can I get like that? How can I get that? Okay. So that's the first goal. And then the next level goal is 3 months. And of course, one of the biggest ways that you can do that is because you have a thriving list, you have a thriving membership, you're
Yeah.
making the kind of money that allows you to hire folks like Patricia who can run the show when you're
Yeah.
away, right? And I think that's something that as entrepreneurs we when we're just getting going, when we're so close to what we're doing and we're only thinking get clients, get customers, sell my thing, we're not thinking what big scaled growth can mean for us and what having that kind of income can mean for us in terms of getting help so that you are not very busy, right? So that you can go on Survivor and still get making $1,000 a day. So what do you think is your shift? Did you have to go through a mindset shift from doing everything yourself to getting to the point of hiring people to help you?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really what Lindsay said about 5 minutes ago. You got to take action with purpose,
Mhm.
right? And so that's the biggest mindset shift when it comes to even like what you're selling, how you sell it, who you're selling it to, and hiring.
Yeah.
Um, because if you're just doing things like make money is not a big enough purpose. Like, make money to what? And y'all, this is coming from somebody who grew up really poor. Like I said, I lived in the woods with no internet when I started. I currently support 3 households. Like, I don't say this, without some understanding of you absolutely have to have money to survive in this modern world. Um, and preferably the more the better, right? I love money. Just ask anyone at CBS. So
That was Liz's villain arc, I think. Liz was a bit of
was
a perceived
just
as a villain.
like a an aloof, rich white woman is how they perceived me or showed me. Anyway, I love money. I know you need money, but it's like
Mhm,
money to do what, right? And what, especially when you're service providing or you have something that's just not working for you, like and how you want to spend your time. Really thinking about, okay, well, I'm going to make this money and then I'm going to do this with it,
mhm,
right? And giving yourself the patience and the time and the help and support, to Lindsay's question, to do it. So in the beginning, when I was really like, okay, I'm going to push this membership, this is how I'm going to make money because eventually I want summers off. And at $9, I'm going to be able to do that. Um, I really had to, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Where did it go? Y'all, hey,
I
this
was
is,
deep in the
we love,
story. Wait, let's get it back.
yes. I Oh, I had to realize that I was saving money. I had enough money. Okay, I need to make X dollars. I think it was like
Yeah,
$6,800 a month to feed me and feed the business, so to speak. But anything after that, I was saving,
yeah,
right? It wasn't like, oh, I can buy this, I can buy that. It was like, I need to save it because I need to hire someone.
yeah.
Right? And that helped me personally with being able to hire Patricia, right? And saying, okay, well, I have the money because I've saved it. Whereas I find a lot of people, oh, well, I have a little bit of money. I need to buy the next course. I need to, do this. But I've really learned, because I'm so intentional with my time and what I sell,
Mhm,
I'd rather have more time than money, and that's a very privileged thing to say. But it took me, like, literally saying, eventually I want to have more time than money, right? And that was a really scary thing. But now I have a little bit of both, and that's great. And I can, I tend to hire contractors versus buying a course to learn it myself.
Yeah.
And that has helped to really accelerate the business. I realize anytime the business isn't doing well, it's because I refuse to give something up. And I know it's like so cliche and it's like, that's not true. That's not true. It's so true. It's so true.
Well, it really is. And I'm so glad that you said that because that is something that I mean, you're everyone. I feel like everybody follows the same trap, which or falls into the same trap, which is I'll just take a course. I'll just go learn this thing. And you might think you're saving money, but you're actually leaving money on the table because you're now having to learn and implement instead of just paying the expert to show you or do it for you. Right. And that's not always possible. And sometimes we have to learn and we have to do it ourselves. But the goal to me should always be make money, get sales, and then hire the people who can help you accelerate. Stop trying to do it all yourself. Otherwise, you're going to
Yes.
be on the never ending wheel, hamster wheel. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say there are some people that ask about my membership. It's
Mhm.
$9, and they're like, "Hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I need," and really, they need an expert. They know some of the basics. They've got, I don't know, a special snowflake kind of business, and I say, really, you should just save up some money and hire someone for a strategy call,
Yeah.
or to just do it for you. Right? But that's why I only charge $9 because I want to work with the beginners that do need to learn the basics, right? But once you've got the basics down and you realize, oh, I'm the bottleneck, I'm just not writing these newsletters. Well, do you have some cash flow? Because somebody can do that for you. And that is much better than trying to pinch pennies or, spending a ton on learning something. Of course, always know the basics. You are the business owner.
Yeah.
You should always have some foundational knowledge. But when you find, you're getting stumped, you need a little expertise, just hire someone.
Yeah. I want to ask one more question. It's a survivor related question. Then we're going to get into an official Q&A. We'll kind of
Okay,
rapid
great.
fire some answers. But that moment that forever rocked the season, the show, I was debating pulling a clip and airing it, but I can share the link later. I'm pissed off.
I'm pissed.
I'm pissed. That's what it was. I'm pissed.
I'm pissed.
When I first had a very real, vulnerable moment of expressing emotion, which you later shared was a relatively new thing for you. And when I first saw it, I was so worried for you. I thought, oh no, Liz is going to alienate everybody and they're going to think you're some kind of wild woman. And I was so worried for your game. And then the reception that it was perceived you got on the show, but from all the commentators and YouTubers and podcasters, it was this pivotal moment of you owning yourself and where you're at and being vulnerable. And for me, it completely shifted in a really humbling way, the way that I own when I'm pissed, right? So when you had that moment, I'm so curious, did you go through that same thought process of, oh my gosh, what have I done? Or I'm so happy I owned it?
Um, I think I might have been a little worried, but honestly, something they didn't show in the show was just how solid my relationships were. They
Mhm.
were just close enough to not be a threat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't seen the show, I was starving, I was denied food, and I freaked out. I had an absolute meltdown, probably of the last decade on television, at least that show, and I will be forever infamous for it. And I'm so glad I did it, and I was so glad I did it in the moment. There was a little bit of oh, oh, Liz, you're playing for $1 million. Like maybe you shouldn't have done that. But that was really just a split second because we were all feeling that way. And almost immediately, all of the people that I was playing with came up to me individually and said, wow, I wish I could have done that. I've been wanting to explode since the second I got here. And I'm getting chills all over my body right now. You know, I've been so uncomfortable. So and so's been really ticking me off. I wish that would have been me screaming at him. Uh, and I just learned in that moment that people really appreciate, uh, you know, honesty. Like that was just me being honest. It wasn't spiteful. It wasn't, a lot of people say, oh, that was a very entitled moment. But if you were there, like you knew it was just an honest, raw emotion. And if you watch the clip, if you watch it all the way through, you see me take a breath and I thank every person. I say, "Oh, thank you for letting me have that. My bad." Back, and I think I say, "Back to your regularly scheduled program." So I know that I just threw a fit. I know it was like totally out of left field. Um, but I love that moment, and I'm glad
Yeah.
you got that out of it. And one of the greatest joys of my life has become people coming up to me and thanking me for, getting angry. Especially a lot of women have told me, I didn't know I was allowed to be that angry.
Yeah.
And to Lindsay's point, everyone forgave me. Everyone was like, "Yeah, that was messed up. I would have freaked out too." Da 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 da. Da." And I think it actually did the opposite of what you might think, where it might risk my game. I feel like it actually endeared me to people. And yeah, one of the greatest joys I've received from being on the show is for people to say, I wish I would have had someone get angry and live through it, maybe I wouldn't be so angry. Maybe I wouldn't have made the decisions I made trying to suppress my anger.
Yeah.
And that is so, it just feels so good. And I'm so glad I freaked out. And I have Q, the guy who denied me food, I have Q to thank.
Yeah.
So thank you, Quintavious, wherever you are today.
Thanks, Q. And yes, and thank you, Liz, for that, because exactly it was I'm getting a little emotional. It was the
Uh,
perspective of through women, through diplomacy, through all these things. And so everybody right now, let's give Liz a round of applause for being real, for being raw, for being vulnerable, and for modeling just the power. So thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
All right. Should we get into some Q&A? We're gonna rapid fire. We don't have a lot. If we're good, I'd like to go over by about 5 minutes longer. So, how are you feeling? Are you good, or you got a hard stop?
I I feel great. I have no idea if I have a hard stop, y'all.
Where's
I'm
Patricia?
winging it
Patricia, does
today.
Liz have a hard
Oh no,
stop?
I've got so much time. I've got so much time.
All right, so maybe we'll go over then. I'll kind of follow your lead here because there are a lot, but you guys, I'm letting you know right now, we're not going to most likely get to everything because you guys came in with the questions. But we're gonna start them off. I've just kind of copied and pasted. And let me just sort of distill this information. So from
Yeah.
Marit, hey, are you there, Marit? So, should emails always include something of extra value? Like it's not enough to just remind of all the things out there, social media content, YouTube, and freebies. I'm guessing there should always be extra value as well. So, not just sharing your latest podcast, but should the email say something of value, give something of value? What are your thoughts on this?
No, what makes you think your podcast or whatever isn't valuable, right? I think you should always be trying to connect. Earlier in the episode, we talked a lot about, building that community. And so you should be trying to connect with people. And I'd like you to reshift from extra value to just how can I connect? And so when you're sharing your freebie or your content or whatever, just share why you created it. I created this for you because XYZ. Like, for example, I have a new podcast. I never would have created that podcast if people didn't ask me. They were like, Liz, I need you in my ear every day. Right. And so, I think today's episode was like the power of the PS or something. And, when I write my email, I'm going to say, I saw in the Facebook group people asking about a PS. Here is 15 minutes about the power of the PS. Peace out. Right. And so that in itself is that extra value, right? Um, it's all just for them, right? It's also extra value might be just those little connections of, hey, I just walked the dog. My podcast mic was really crappy before we had to go live, but whatever, we went live, right? That's just little relatability things.
Mhm.
But it's okay to just get in there, get to the point, and get out, because guess what? It's a newsletter, not a novel. If you don't have time to write it, chances are they don't have time to read it.
Yeah, I love that. And to basically what you just said about the walking the dog as well. Remember that people are on your list because they want to be on your list. They want to be close to you. They want to know you. So sharing a bit of
Amen.
yourself is also, that's the value, right? Let people into your world to a point that you feel comfortable. So, Marie, we have another question. How often should emails be sent so that it makes sense in trying to establish a newsletter email list? Is once a month enough? So let's talk frequency. What do you think the
Yeah.
frequency is this question here?
So is once a month enough? Probably not. I know. I'm sorry. Most businesses need to stay top of mind
Yeah.
more frequently. I would say try to get to once a week. That's almost all businesses could do with once a week. It's going to help you do three things that are really important. Number one, it's going to show that you are invested in your potential clients, right? And you have the opportunity to show you're invested each week. Number two, it's going to be that relatability piece. This is how we connect. If you want to build a community, if you want a list of customers, is once a month enough? You probably know the answer to that. And then the third thing is it's going to help you stay top of mind. Remember that people don't buy when you sell, they buy when they are ready. So if they're ready in the middle of the month, but you only send on the first or the second of the month, are they going to think about you for the solution, or are they going to just Google it? That's why I really recommend about once a week.
I love that. And I just put Liz's email marketing membership in the link in the chat for you. I'm gonna plug, because I don't think I really even plugged the membership, did we? The beauty of the membership is that Liz just gives you a template every Monday. Here's a template, follow it, and you have access to all the archived so that you can get,
You
if you
do.
want a sales email, if you want a list cleanup email, that's going to be our next question. It's there, but there is nothing easier than me. I usually send mine on like a Wednesday, and so I'll go to my email that came in from you on Monday, grab the template, fill out the template, and the way that I get engagement, I get clicks, I get you responding, and I have an email written in 15 minutes or less. And so, like, literally the best. Y'all know I love it. Go and sign up. We're going to talk about your Black Friday deal in a bit as well. But let's get into this. I heard it's beneficial to delete passive people from your email list. Let's talk about those email list scrubs. What are your thoughts? Is it important to be doing the scrubs? What are your thoughts on the email list scrubs?
Yeah, it is beneficial. And if you, so a cold scrub is when you get those people who aren't opening, usually in about 90 days, if they haven't opened an email list, you remove them from your email list. Yes, this is a must right now. Number one, you pay for your email list, right? And so the more people on your email list, the more you pay. I don't know about you, but I don't want to pay for people that don't even open, that I can't help because they're not opening, right? So you want to delete those passive people from your email list. Number two, it's good for deliverability. So let's say, Marie, Erica, Lindsay and Liz, we're all on your email list, but none of us are opening. And every week you send an email out. Well, every week we're sending up a red flag to the internet gods that says, don't care, not important, garbage, right? So then let's say, Shahara joins your email list and she's really excited. But the internet gods, they say, well, those four, they don't really open your emails. So we're going to put you in Shahara's spam folder. Even though Shahara signed up, we know better because we have the data and your stuff is garbage. So you go in the garbage folder, right? We don't want that. That's terrible. So please do the cold scrub
Mhm.
at least once a quarter.
Nice. I love it. Okay, next question. How would you start in terms of building a sustainable low ticket offer that is sold through email? How do you turn it passive? I want to break down this question for just a second because we've got a few questions like this, like how would you start it? And I think that's the first thing. People get stuck on how to even start a low ticket offer that's sold through email.
Yeah, well, what would be easy to sell? Like what's an easy problem that you can solve, right? If it's low ticket, you don't want something that's going to create a lot of work because that's going to create what? Resentment, right? You don't want to resent your people, you want to serve them. So, what is something that you love that you could create over and over and over and that your people need, right? And um, so that's where I would start with the creation of it. Like think about like, is this really, the thing I want to create? And then create it in its simplest form. For example, my membership, y'all, it used to live on Google Docs. Okay. The very first time I launched it, I launched the membership. I didn't even have anything for the membership. And I told people, if you buy this, you won't get anything today because I'm about to go pick up my daughter from school, but you'll get something in the morning, I promise. It's $9. Let's do this thing. And the next morning, I had some sales. I was like, well, I better get up early and create something. I just created it in a Google Doc. So, what is the simplest format you can deliver it in as well? That's how I would start. And then how to turn it passive. And this is important at the beginning of your journey too, because we don't want resentment and we don't want to feel like we're wasting our time. And I mentioned it, I don't know, maybe about 20 minutes ago. This word called patience. You've with low ticket, if you want it to create any type of real cash for you and to be passive, you have to be patient, right? I I was not thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be rich within the year," right? It's $9. I'm gonna have to go find a lot of people for this to be sustainable for me. And that to me is more important than it being passive. Y'all, Stephen King has passive income. Okay? He's been writing books forever and his books that he wrote 30 years ago are still selling. That's passive income. I wouldn't necessarily say my membership is even passive, but it's a sustainable, recurring revenue. Nothing is passive about me doing this interview today. Okay. Nothing is passive about me having one in an hour. Y'all, I had to quick make my hamburger today in between guests speaking today. That's not passive. I will say it's more passive than something like, doing a service providing. If I have clients, I don't take clients anymore, but really relaxing that word passive and how can I create something sustainable work for myself. For me, the service providing, that wasn't sustainable for me. It deregulated my nervous system. I was constantly obsessed with projects, constantly trying to find more projects. That wasn't sustainable for me. But finding customers and asking them, hey, can I have $9? Check it out. If you don't like it, you can leave. No harm done, right? That feels more sustainable for me. And I love doing this kind of stuff. And again, it's about that intentionality. So instead of saying, how can I turn it passive? Unless you have a bunch of money to hire everyone to do the work for you and to pay for Facebook ads, I say it with love, but maybe forget passive for a while.
Yeah, thank you for that, because as anyone in passive businesses will tell you, passive income is anything but passive. So, yeah,
Amen. I mean, even real estate, you gotta pay attention to
you
your
gotta work.
investments. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. It's more about the sustainable.
Mhm.
Okay, so here's one. What software or platforms do you recommend for different budgets? Do you have any that you love? Yeah.
Yeah, so y'all, for $9, I keep my membership incredibly lean as far as platforms and software go. I try to do the absolute cheapest thing possible where the user experience doesn't totally suck. Okay. So at first it was Google Drive. Then I moved it to lizwilcox.com with free plugins. I don't even remember the name of them, guys, but it was just free plugins that basically password protected username type of thing. And now it's on its own website. Um, and I use something called Lifter LMS. It's a plugin. It makes the site look, like a membership site. And so when it comes to platforms, like I'm really tech agnostic, but again, like what works for your brain and your budget?
Yep.
And think about, for me, I picked my own website because I have a lot of volume. For $9, you need a lot of people to make money, right? And so I didn't want to go with something like Teachable or Kajabi because that's a lot of money, especially the more users you have, the more they're going to up your price. And I don't want to up the price of my membership. So I went with something that's like a low flat rate. WordPress is something that I understand. I'm not an expert, but if something breaks, usually I can go in there, click a few buttons, get it to work, at least put a Band-Aid on it so I can hire, the expert later. But I mean, just whatever works for your brain and budget. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be that complicated, babe.
Yeah, like I often recommend MailerLite as a starter for email
Oh,
programs because you can
me
get
too.
free up to your first 1,000 subscribers. Friends, Facebook groups. Just put it into a Facebook group. You know what I mean? If that's where you got to start. Like it's like, have a Google document, have a bunch of Google folders. Just make it accessible, make it easy, and then I was going to say you can upgrade as you go, but the point isn't to spend more, like dump more money into things. Just get it to where you need it, right? Don't keep thinking I'll
Amen.
upgrade to the $1,000 a month program. You don't need it, don't do it.
Amen.
All right. Let's ask a few more if you're good. Let me know.
Yeah, I'm great.
Nice. I love this. Thank you. Okay, so Vanessa, what are the best ways to get emails opened or email opens?
Oh my gosh, there are
Subject
so
line?
many ways. Really, what I want you to know about getting people to open your emails, it is the from line, FROM. Who
Mm.
is this email from? And now, if you come from a background, like a corporate background, you understand this. If Carl emails you, you're not opening it. It's like, oh gosh, this guy again. Like, I'll get to that at the end of the day and, like act like I was so busy. But, maybe Lindsay emails you. Oh my gosh, I love Lindsay's emails. They're always super helpful. I can get to this really quick. Of course, I'm going to do that task, right? It's the from line, baby. That's how you get your emails opened, right? So I just want to establish that like as our perspective. And so how do we get like, oh my gosh, Liz Wilcox, I'm going to open those emails. How do we get that reaction out of people? Well, we've already talked about it. Show you're invested in your people, become relatable, and stay top of mind. Okay. Show that you are invested by creating content for them, telling them, I created this because XYZ, right? That matters to them because of these reasons that matter to you, right? Become relatable. I love the 90s. I've got NSYNC in the background. I got Pooh Bear and Tigger on. I got a headband on for no reason. Like I love the 90s. That's something that I share a lot in my branding. And so things like that are really going to help you get your emails opened time after time. The more practical and tactical advice is make sure you have a welcome sequence. Oh my gosh, please. I'm begging you. When someone joins your email list, you have to welcome them. It's the same as when Lindsay started this episode, oh, we're talking to Liz Wilcox today. Here's what she's about. Here's what we're going to cover, etc. Right? They're setting us up for what we're about to do. Do that in your emails. Set expectations. Tell people what's coming and tell people who you are and tell people where they're going. Share the vision you have. Together, we're going to make money with email marketing, right? That's my vision for you. I don't care about your podcast, Mike, clearly. I don't care about your background, clearly. I don't care about your hairline, clearly, right? All I care is that you make money with email marketing. That's my vision, and that's something I share directly in the welcome sequence. And the last thing is open up as many conversations as you can. You can do this by getting replies. But Liz, I ask people all the time, nobody ever replies. You got to ask simpler questions, yes or no questions. They can't be, where are you at in your online journey? Or, no. What? I don't know. There's not a map. How do I know where I am at? I don't know. It sucks. Right? We got to ask yes or no questions. Again, an example in my first email, I say, P.S. Do you write a weekly newsletter? Hit reply yes or no. This opens up conversations. And if you can get that open line of communication going, they're going to open your emails for much longer.
Love it. Love it. We're going to go with two more. We have so many friends. I know I'm not getting to everybody. Two more. This one. Do you use paid ads to build your list? And I know you don't because it's in your bio, but do you think it's necessary to use paid ads in building your email list? Go.
What's that song? No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no, no,
no,
no.
no.
No, I have never used advertising to build my email list. I feel like Jerry Seinfeld in the 90s. Like at this point, I'm just doing it for spite, just to prove to people you don't need them. It's absolutely not necessary to build your email list with paid ads. Now, if you have more money than time, absolutely use ads. But, when I first started my business, all three of them, I had more time than money. And so I started visibility tactics that we've already talked about: podcast guesting, guest
Yeah,
blogging, collaborations, things like that. And that's still what I've found to get the best leads for me is that. So, no, it's absolutely not necessary.
brilliant, brilliant. And then final question for today. If you were starting from scratch, what would be one thing you would do differently?
I actually would do it exactly the same way that I've built all three of my businesses. I would get on Facebook. I would start with a landing page with Kit, formerly ConvertKit, and say, hey, I'm doing this thing over here. If you are interested, sign up here. I would start my email list absolutely the very first thing. And then I would go and grow from there.
Brilliant. All right. Before we say goodbye, Liz, I always ask everybody the same question. So the podcast name is Work Less, Play More. And I would love for you to fill in the blanks. Work less, blank more.
Work less, laugh more. I have a
Ooh,
tattoo that says laugh always. It's kind of upside
yes.
down and
Yeah.
backwards, probably. Y'all, we need to laugh more. I mean, whenever I find that I'm, upset or like feeling slightly burnt out, I'm like, when was the last time I like sat down and watched a comedy or had a good belly laugh with a friend?
Yeah.
So that's my submission for the day.
Brilliant. I love it. Friends, I'm going to rapid fire you off some links here. So, obviously, we've got to follow Liz on Instagram. Here is her Instagram here in the chat. I'm going to throw some more at you. Okay. While I'm doing this, Liz, can you talk about your Black Friday special?
Oh,
And I'm going to
yeah.
share that
Thank
right now.
you. Thank you
Yes.
for asking. So, my Black Friday special, we talked about my $9 a month membership. So, on
Mhm.
Black Friday, you can join that membership for an entire year. It's $9 times 12 months, $108. What? No
Mhm.
discount? How is this a deal? What you actually get is all my other products for free. So, when you join the membership for a year, you get all my other products for free. So, I have lots of workshops, little mini courses. In the new year, we're actually going to have 3 list building challenges next year because I find that's the biggest like sticking point. It's not enough to send weekly newsletters. You have to be growing the audience, something we talked a lot about at the beginning of this episode. So I'm really, really excited. You also get my $500 launch course completely for free in those bonuses. So I think it's like close to $2,000 in actual products
Yes.
for free when you join. It's $108. It's open Monday, November 25th through the 29th. Lindsay's putting all the links in the chat. I'm sure she's got them in the show notes as well for
Yeah.
you. I'm so excited. This offer has not been available for a year. I'm so excited to bring it back. So excited to welcome new annual pass holders. It's basically, wherever you're at in your email marketing, strategy and journey, like I've got something for you. I really don't want you to spend more money than is absolutely necessary. So $108, you're going to get everything you need to start with email, to keep going with email, to get to the next level with email uh, for free. I'm so excited.
Yeah, yeah, it's so fantastic. I've done the sales page because people will be like, who did your sales page? I'm like, well, the Liz Wilcox template, right? And so like I've used so many of them. I am literally recommending to everybody. Thankfully, I have a lot of trust in my community. So y'all know when I say go get on that wait list, buy it when it becomes available, y'all are doing that. So go get on that list. Liz, this has been amazing. I wanted to share a few more links before I let everybody go. You can come and join me this Friday. I'm going to be doing a Shop Talk, one of our new YouTube series on Friday. I'm going to be talking about neurodiversity, burnout, and how that results in us playing small. So we'll be having a group discussion on that. So come and join us. Feel free to share your thoughts if you have thoughts on that, Liz. I saw that
Just
face.
an important conversation. So come on Friday, y'all.
And then next Wednesday, we're going to be hanging out with Karina Winston. We're going to be talking about money mindset for new entrepreneurs, specifically that shift from corporate employee to entrepreneur, business owner, those money mindset shifts that need to take place. So Karina will be sharing her journey as well as some tips for everybody else. Otherwise, friends, this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining us today. Liz, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for staying longer to answer questions. There were more to answer. I might have to figure out a way to get some more answers. Maybe we do a blog or something. Maybe we meet
that's a
again
great
in a month
idea.
or two, right? Let's
That's a
keep
great
the
idea.
conversation going. I love it. Okay, friends, go get all of Liz's things. If you were listening to the podcast, if you're watching the replay, you can check it all out in the show notes in the description. For those that are live, you are the best. I'll see you on Friday. Liz,